Don't walk. One more picture? 10 more.
ahavas hatoiro ki ahavas hatoiro yein lechochma chochma haseretz Yisroel chochma haseretz Yisroel של ירושלים יהי לך יופי יופי כי יפיו של ירושלים chochma haseretz Yisroel chochma haseretz Yisroel
For my father, his neshama should have an aliyah. Ya'akov Hirschi, and my mother, Esther Weiss, should have a refuah shlema that she needs very badly. Thank you all for sharing in this most meaningful simcha for our family.
Lady, where are those pictures over there? It's letting hard.
Okay, before I speak, before I can see him, Jessica, I'll see him first.
Rally, girls.
Is the tree here?
Alright, so just I learned this after watching
David, where's David? Tzvi! Hold on.
Are you filming everything?
David,
Got everything going on?
Tzvi! Get down here, David!
Josh!
Maybe a little louder.
They're making a speech. You can't talk during the speech going in another room.
Okay.
Dave, where's the outfit?
Scream Josh.
I learned this after
Hold on, wait. Tell Josh he has to come down for the seat.
1 second.
We'll just cut those out. Here, better lunch.
Yeah, they'll be here. Okay, last time. Okay, so I learned this after Makos with my chavrusa Jeffrey Goldberg, so he had a part in this as well. I'm just gonna end it off the Masechta, and then we'll say Kaddish, and then I'll read a letter that Jessica wrote. So the Gemara concludes. It goes through before it gets to the story. It goes through a listing of a bunch of qualities that one needs to acquire, I guess, in order that they be able to fulfill all 613 mitzvos. They list from anywhere from David HaMelech to Moshe. And they list different types of qualities that one needs to have. They need to be a good person. They shouldn't take bribes. Really, to anything that you can really think of that can make a person become an ideal person. This is the type of quality that they request, that they think is a fundamental requirement in order to fulfill the mitzvahs. So the ending of the Masechta, though, concludes with a story that happened after the Beis HaMikdash was destroyed, where Rabbi Kiva and other Rabbanim were walking on a path in Rome, and they saw a fox. And well, it doesn't actually say in Rome, but the Gemara doesn't know if they were in Rome or if they were. It says that they were in a plaza of Rome, about 120 mil away from there, and they all started to cry, and Rabbi Kiva started to laugh, and they asked him why are you laughing, and it goes into a whole thing there. But then the way that it concludes is as follows: they give another case where they see a fox. So it says, Shuv Pam Achas Hayu Olim Yerushalayim. Another occasion, the Chachamim were coming up to Yerushalayim after the destruction of the Beis HaMikdash. Kevan Shegiu L'Harat Sofim Karo B'Gdeim. When they reached Harat Sofim and they were able to see the city of Yerushalayim in its destruction, they rent their garments. Kevan Shegiu L'Harat Bayis. When they came to Harat Bayis, Ra'u Shual Sheyatza Mibeis Kasher Kadashim. They saw a fox emerging from the Holy of Holies. Hisvilohim Bochim, and they started to weep. Rabbi Kiva Misachik, Rabbi Kiva started to smile. Amrulo, they said to him, Ibnei Ma Ta Misachik, why are you smiling? Amrulohem, Ibnei Ma Tem Bochim, why are you crying? Amrulo, they said to him, Makom shekasuv bo v'hazar hakarav yumos. The pasuk says that a non-Kohen who approaches shall die. The achshav shualim hilchu bo v'lo yivke. And now we see a fox prowling around over it. Should we not weep? So Amar Lehem, Rabbi Akiva responded to them, L'kach ani misachik. This is why I'm smiling. The pasuk says, V'aidol li edim ne'amanim es Uriah Kohen v'Zechariah ben Yivarchayu. That I will summon trustworthy witness for myself, Uriah and Zechariah, two different Nevi'im. What does Uriah have to do with Zechariah? Uriah ben Mikdash Rishon and Zechariah ben Mikdash Sheni. Uriah prophesied during the first Beis Hamikdash, while Zechariah prophesied during the second Beis Hamikdash. Ela tala akasav nevuasa shel Zechariah ben nevuasa shel Uriah. And by mentioning both Uriah and Zechariah, their nevuos would go together. With Uriah was written, Lachein biglalechem Sion sadet hecharash. Therefore, because of you, Sion will be plowed over like a field. So this is why we were crying, because we saw that the Beis Hamikdash was destroyed. Zechariah ksiv, Od yashvu zakeinu v'zakenos b'rechov Yerushalayim. Old men and women will once again sit in the streets of Yerushalayim. So we're seeing that the first Beis Hamikdash says regarding Uriah that it's going to be destroyed, but by Zechariah it says that once again people will be walking around Yerushalayim. So we see that bad things are going to happen, but ultimately good will happen again. That's why Rabbi Akiva was smiling, because there was a future will occur, a positive future of a third Beis Hamikdash in Yerushalayim. So Rabbi Akiva concludes, as long as the prophecy of Uriah had not been fulfilled, I had feared that this is how it's going to be, that we're going to be living without a Beis Hamikdash. I fear that the prophecy of Zechariah would not be fulfilled. But now that I see that the nevuah of Uriah came true, that a fox is coming out of the Beis Hamikdash, now I know that the nevuah of Zechariah will occur. Therefore, the colleagues of Rabbi Akiva agreed, and they were comforted by that. Hadron Allah, Elu Halokim, V'sokol HaMesach Makos. Hadron Allah Mesach Makos, Hadron Allah. Data Allah Mesach Makos, Daitan Allah. Lo Niskad Mivinich Mesach Makos, Lo Niskad Minam. Lo Ba'alma Hadem, Lo Ba'alma Dasi. Hadron Allah Mesach Makos, Hadron Allah. Data Allah Mesach Makos, V'datan Allah. Lo Niskad Minach Mesach Makos, Lo Niskad Minam, Lo Ba'alma Hadem, Lo Ba'alma Dasi. Hadron Allah Mesach Makos, Hadron Allah. Data Allah Mesach Makos, Datan Allah. Lo Niskad Minach Mesach Makos, Lo Niskad Minam, Lo Ba'alma Hadem, Lo Ba'alma Dasi. Here's Torah V'nech Adonai Eloheinu V'Eloheinu Shetei Torah Schal U'Marseinu B'Olam B'Zeh Yosei Manu Olam Haba Chanina Bar Papa Rami Bar Papa Nachman Bar Papa Rachai Bar Papa Abba Bar Amma Rami Bar Papa Rafim Bar Papa Rachish Bar Papa Surcha Bar Papa Ada Bar Papa Daru Bar Papa. Harvna Adonai Eloheinu Esther Weiss Arsachah B'Kinu V'Yaz Amcha Beis Yisrael V'Nei Nachman V'Zeh V'Zeh Amcha Beis Yisrael K'mani Yodei Shemech V'Nei Tzarech L'Shma V'Oives Sechamdeinu Mitzvasecha Ki Lolam Ki Li Hili Bis Ami B'Chukech L'man Lo Ever L'Olam Lo Ashkach B'Mudacha Ki Vam Chisani Baruch Atah Adonai L'Dech L'Techa Amen 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 Selo V'Ed Modim Nachnu Loch Modim Anachnu V'Nech Adonai Eloheinu V'Eloheinu Shesamtach Hakin Yoshe Beis HaMedrash V'Lo Samtach Hakin Yoshe Kronos She'anu Mashkimi V'Hem Mashkimi Anu Mashkimi Divrei Torah V'Hem Mashkimi Divrei B'Telim Anu Amelim V'Hem Amelim Anu Amelim V'Kal M'Sacher V'Hem Amelim Einam V'Kal M'Sacher Anu Rasim V'Hem Rasim Anu Rasim Chai Olam Haba V'Hem Rasim V'Va Shach Shenemar V'Ata Elohim Torah Dem V'Ve'er Shachas Anshe Dami Mira Lo Yechzu Mimenu V'Ani Avchachva Here it's on V'Necha Adonai Elohai Kashem She'az Hani L'Sayim Mesech Makos Kain Tazrin L'Haschil Masechta L'Sfarim Acherim L'Sayim L'Ulim L'Ulam L'Ulim L'Ulim It's called the base of Mitzvah V'Yabba It was a close called Hanoi V'Maram V'Tam Yechacham Yiyam Li Zari Shelo Samu Shos Hator M'Piyum Pizari V'Zara Zari Adolom Siskayim Bi V'Hisalecha Tanchte Oscha V'Shapcha L'Shmur Alecha Hakisosai Ki Sisecha Ki V'Yuro Yomecha V'Yosiv L'Cha Shnos Chayim Arachini B'Mina V'Smol L'Shachol Nai Ozla Mo Yitein Adonai V'Rech V'Mol L'Shalom.
Kadavis Kadash Meraba Yamadi Hosid Chaya Chaya Meso Laska Yishon Lechaya Oma Umine Karta Yerushalayim Ul Kashkla Hechlena Begava Umerkar Polchana Nechura Min Ara Lavasa Polchana Dishmaya La Arsei Yamlich Kutshabrich over Malchusevi Kore. Yatman Konevi Kor Mishiche. Chaychon and Mechon and Chaychon Beit Israel by beloved Marker River War Bay. Itador, Italem, Italosh, medical job, Ripple, Layla, Mikover Khatab, Shiratzah, Tushmatzah, Nechematzah, Damiram, the Amav, and Romay, Al Israel, Rabbanon, the Al Tamidei, on the Al Kol Tamidei, Samidei, on Yalkam Modern, the Right, so the Yazadane, you don't call Avasar, Asar, the Halo, Kon, Shomrab, China, Bechisa, Barachin, the Kaina, Richin, Madonna, Raviche, for Kanami, Kanabu, the Vishmaya, the Arab, the Romay, the Heshon, Rabba, Minchimaya, the Chaim, Tov Malain, of Al Israel, and Romay. Shalom B'Ramah, B'Bracham Av Yasha, Shalom Aleinu, Al Yisrael, Amen.
Go.
Okay, this speech was it was actually a letter written by Jessica, so this is from her.
Is she in here?
She's here. Is she here?
Jessica?
Jessica.
Okay. Alright, why 30 days? The Jewish calendar is marked by lunar time. As the moon waxes and wanes in a cycle, the 30-day period of mourning is an opportunity to emotionally come full circle. The process begins with the funeral and first days of Shiva, when not even a glimmer of light is seen. As time goes on, the light slowly comes back fuller and fuller. 30 days is an important central cycle of time, a time to renew and to come to grips with a new reality. These past few weeks have been quite difficult and sad, as it's not very easy to cope with losing a loved one. However, if we look at the meaning of the Shloshim and understand how it is an opportunity to slowly take time to see a bit of light, we can understand this process a little better. Zaidi was a man that would make one wonder why he had to suffer. In fact, he was such a special person that it is a bit scary to think that Hashem would allow such a person to suffer the way he did. The truth is we don't know why Hashem put Zaidi through the pain he went through, and we'll never know why. So then what does his pain and suffering mean to us? I believe it has taught us a huge lesson. It has been said time and time again that Zaidi didn't complain. That he was a wonderful, special person who always had a smile on his face. But I think he left us with a deeper message. Zaidi was indeed a selfless man, and if one were to look at him while he was suffering, those special qualities stood out even more. It is one thing to have the qualities he had, and it is another to maintain those qualities and let them shine while being in that physical state that Zaidi was in during those last few weeks of his life. To think that he was at this madrega, this level, when he was so sick, was and still is an inspiration to me. We learned from Eov a great lesson. Hashem granted Satan the right to test Eov's righteousness and determine if he truly was a tzaddik for the right reasons. Satan stripped away everything from him to the extent that he was basically left with nothing. Yet to the Satan's despair, Eov never cursed Hashem and never complained. He would just accept what was given to him, since it is Hashem's will, whether man lives or man dies, whether he suffers or whether he does not. And so he kept quiet. Eov proved to Satan that he was indeed as righteous as Hashem had made him out to be. Zaidi passed the same test with flying colors. Never did he complain, never did he beseech Hashem to stop the pain, rather he kept silent. Although I don't know the physical pain he went through, I do know that it must have been excruciating. Yet Zaidi persevered until 1 month ago today, with that same smile on his face, being proud of his Yiddishkeit and his relationship with the Ribono Shel Olam. I truly think that although I am sad that Zaidi is no longer here, I still believe it is a time to celebrate his life because he lived one to be proud of. Life is short. Regardless of living 72 years or 120, it's not about the quantity, but it's about the quality. Zaidi lived 72 years of serving Hashem with a full heart, making others happy and providing a feeling of warmth when one was around him. He lived a life of treating others as they would want to be treated themselves. Zaidi did suffer, and it is one of those things that we will never understand, but the lessons he leaves us with us today is to be strong. Don't take a single day for granted. Don't hold grudges, because who knows if you'll ever be able to resolve whatever disputes you have with another. Live your life to the fullest by keeping a big smile on your face. During those last few days as Zaidi laid in his chair in such pain, I went over to him and whispered in his ear the last thing I ever told him. I said I was truly blessed to have a Zaidi like you. Such a special man, such a tzaddik, a role model that we all look up to. I love you and will never ever forget everything that you have done for me. I didn't say he is a tzaddik because he is my Zaidi, but I said it because I meant it. We live in this world with all the materialistic things we can ever want, but when we leave, we take none of them with us. Zaidi obviously knew this because he didn't live for fancy things. Sure, he would enjoy a nice meal or a nice shirt here or there, but that's not what defined him. What he made sure to take with him to Shemayim was the enormous amount of mitzvahs that he had fulfilled in his lifetime. And let me tell you, he had a lot. As most of you know, I am an artist, and I admit I love what I do. Last year, a mentor of mine in FIT was trying to help me and improve in my illustration abilities. He would tell me to constantly draw and never to stop, because that's the only way to improve is to constantly draw. I broke down crying to him one day as I wanted to be so much better at what I do and felt overwhelmed and lacked faith in myself. He said, and I'll never forget this, "My sketchbook is my Bible, it is my life." I'm sure you're all wondering what this has to do with remembering such an incredible person. The truth is, I will never forget what he had said because it made me realize how lucky we are as Jews. We don't need a sketchbook to give us a reason to get up in the morning and live our lives. The reason I get up in the morning is because I am part of a bigger picture than being an artist. I get up in the morning because it is my God-given right to live with Hashem's Torah as my guide. Zaidi lived his life for the Torah. He didn't live his life to be the best chef, the best artist, to beat a world record, or to receive an Oscar. Zaidi lived his life for the Torah, and by doing so, he beat any world record that I know of. He tried to be the best person that he could be. For that reason alone, I know he is in God Eden watching over all of us. Always remember the pasuk Gam ki elech begeitz hamavis lo yara ki ata yimadi. Those few words I said to myself while standing at the cemetery, watching such a special person leave us. It is scary to think about the way life ends, but if we live it the way Zaidi did, then we will always know that Hashem is with us there, that Hashem is always with us, and that there is nothing to fear.
Shalom. Where's Jessica? Jessica. Beautiful.
Jessica, you could go into writing if art doesn't work out.
Rabbi Lervold spoke by the bio about Hachnosas Lev, something which is hard to find in a person, whereas Zaidi was open to have. But I'd like to say that there is something else Zaidi had that is also hard to find in a person. Simchas Chayim. Everything he did was with a smile, and everything that happened, whether good or bad, was greeted with a smile. Over the last few weeks, everyone who came over to me always started with Zaidi was the happiest person. There was never a time he wasn't smiling. If you think about it, this is an amazing accomplishment. To be seen by multiple different people as such a happy person is not easy. I know that there are times that I'm just in a bad mood and people can see it and notice. But to be perceived as a person who always is smiling is quite the feat. So this isn't all that it takes to have Simchas Chayim. Rather, additionally, it is to have a natural inclination to judge others favorably, optimism, and a strong desire to help others, something Zaidi exemplified to the fullest. As I've gotten older, I've begun to connect the dots that I find in Hashem's master plan.
Thank you very much.
By the Levaya, Peniel mentioned in her speech that it was so Zaidi to leave us in Adar, a time which is supposed to be Kulo Simcha, a time where we're not supposed to be sad about anything. But I think it goes even further back. My father-in-law had the zchus to gain possession of a second Sefer Torah. But before we were able to complete it, things became complicated. But I think of it differently. HaKadosh Baruch Hu knows what we need. He knows we would need the simcha that Zaidi brought to our lives. So he made it possible to give us that simcha with this Torah. This Torah represents Zaidi. It represents the simcha that forever emanated from him. And with each use, this Torah should not only give his neshama and aliyah, but it should brighten our days, enlighten our lives, and remind us of our Zaidi, who is forever b'simcha.
Rabbi?
Can I sit in the chair?
Absolutely.
Arthur, get a picture of me in the chair?
Maybe take a picture of the rabbi. Hold on a second. Barry? You missed the picture?
We missed it.
Oh, come on.
We'll get it after.
This week, we are beginning Sefer Vayikra. It's called Vayikra because the Kodesh Baruch Hu calls out to Moshe, Vayikra El Moshe. And then the first pasuk begins, Adam ki Yaakov mikem korban laHashem. If a person's going to bring a sacrifice, say korban for Kodesh Baruch Hu. And Rashi, the first Rashi, on that word Adam ki Yaakov, of course, asks the question, why the word Adam? First of all, it's completely superfluous. You don't need it. It could have simply said, Vayikra El Moshe, ki Yaakov mikem. If you're going to bring, and then it lists what you're supposed to do. But there's no word to have any pronoun. And if you do have a pronoun, say ish or isha, a man or woman. Both man or woman can bring. The same, Ish o Isha, throughout the Chumash. When you speak about a man, he's called an Ish, and a woman's called an Isha. So why the word Adam? Adam means a human. Use Ish o Isha, why the word Adam? And Rashi goes on, and I'd like to explain a little bit what I think is apropos for today. Every person, everybody, tries to be a proper Yid. Some people try every day. As soon as they wake up in the morning, what you're supposed to do, you're supposed to say to yourself, what am I supposed to accomplish today as far as Yiddishkeit goes? Other people can't do it every day. They're so busy with business. They'll do it on Shabbos. Some people can't even do it every Shabbos. They might do it on the Shalosh Regalim, and some people perhaps once a year. Whether it's Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, but most Jews, whether it's every day or once a year, do ask themselves, how am I going to be a proper Yid? And if you'd ask, if they would send out a survey, what makes a Jew into a proper Jew? So someone's going to say, which might be very high on the list, how much Torah do you learn? High on the list, someone's going to say, do you give tzedakah? High on the list, it might be ben adam l'chaverim, ben adam l'makom. You can go on. Everyone's going to find their forte, and perhaps they work on that because they think it's the most important part. That's their ladder. That's their goal. That's how they're going, somehow to get closer to Kodesh Baruch. I think this pasuk of Adam ki Yaakov Mekem tells us the secret, and I think it dispels all of those ideas. And I think it says as follows. The reason why it says the word Adam is because Adam does not mean male, it does not mean female. The word Adam, if you ask me to give a translation, I can't find an English word, so I use a Yiddish word, even though my Yiddish wants much. But I'd say in Yiddish, the word for Adam means a mensch. I don't believe there's a word in the English language, because I don't think they put such an emphasis on what a mensch is. They'll put an emphasis on if he's a good ball player, if he's wealthy, if he's nice. But the word mensch, which incorporates so many ideas, I don't think Americans have any idea what it means. And therefore, Mr. Webster, when he gave us his dictionary, there's no need to find that word. It doesn't work. But you go to any Jew, I don't care if they're Orthodox, Conservative, Reform, American, Israeli, from Switzerland, you say the word mensch, it carries a lot by a Jew because it encapsulates so many ideals that we stand for. Adam ki Yaakov Mekem. Yaakov Mekem means you want to become close. You want to know what is the ladder. How are you going to somehow get close to God? And what does it tell us? Adam ki Yaakov Mekem. In order to get close to God, you have to be a mensch. Some people, again, I think they're going to be think they're going to get close to God because of tzedakah. Some think they're going to get close to God because they daven well. Some will get close to God because they learn. Whatever you're going to pick, I think the Torah tells you before anything else that you think is the most important that you're going to underscore. You want to know ki Yaakov Mekem? You want to know how you're going to get close? Adam. First and foremost, you need to be a mensch. Once you are a mensch, you want to then give tzedakah? You want to be nice? You want to daven? You want to learn? Those all add another feather in your cap. And in order to own that cap, in order to somehow even get into the arena, you need to be an Adam. If you're not a mensch, all the other little things that you think are so important, they fall by the wayside and they mean nothing. They're nice, but they don't amount to anything if you cannot start with that thing called a mensch. Sefer Vayikra, Sefer Havodah. Avodah means you somehow are a person who is going to become an Oved Hashem. And people all throughout the world, throughout the ages, try to figure out what's the secret of being an Oved Hashem. And they work on themselves, different ideas. I think the Chumash tells you, first and foremost, the first step, and the most important step, is Adam ki Yaakov Mekem, be a mensch. If you're a mensch, you can get close to God and everything else will fall into place. All the other little things that we do don't do anything if you don't have an Adam, you're not a mensch. You can speak about Mr. Weiss, Jordy, because he did many wonderful things, and they're all true. He really was a remarkable person. You can speak about, literally, everyone knows him because he was always in the neighborhood, you saw him in the store, you always saw him in shul, always had a wonderful, all these are true. He was really a remarkable person. But if you had to summarize in a nutshell, with one word, tell you why all those, the smile that he had, and the hello that he had, and the twinkle, why they all worked, and why we remember him so fondly. I think it's because he somehow epitomized Adam ki Yaakov Mikem. He was a mensch. He was a mensch as a father, which we spoke about the Levaya. I mean, I used to speak to your mother. She used to say she had no problem yelling, no problem trying to beat them, hurt them, hit them, whatever she did. And Jordy, always. But it wasn't just as a father. You speak to Jordy as he was, and we all know how he was as a husband. Didn't make a difference if his wife was yelling at him, things were going on. You can laugh all you want, but you're talking about a real mensch. In the store, things don't always go so simple. People blow off steam. He was always a mensch. And shul, didn't make a difference if he was davening the first shul, the main shul, the sword. Things always go on. I didn't get an aliyah. He's complaining. Never anything. He was a mensch in everything he did. Whether it was in shul, whether it was at home, as a father, as a business. Because being a mensch isn't one area. It's not your davening. It's not your learning. It encapsulates everything about you. You are a mensch, and hence you're a mensch. You can do anything you want. Because you are that. It's who you are. It is your essence, and Jordy was a real mensch. Everything else we're going to say is another feather in his cap. The bottom line, and anything you're going to think about him, you're going to leave and you're going to say, Larry Ford was right. You want to find an example of a true mensch in every sense of the word. That was Jordy Weiss. I was thinking, which is why I left. Nothing against Memphis. I like Memphis, even though my sister-in-law is from Memphis. I just was trying to... I really do like Memphis. And Elvis. I just wanted to go half a step further. I happen to like Mark and Barry. Friends right and left in stereo, Mark and Barry. I was looking, by the way, while everything was going on. You got older. You didn't get older at all. No, I'm just saying. I mean, it's just, I just was sitting there saying you've aged. I don't know if it's in the last 30 days or the last 6 months, but I was looking at the two of you. He still looks like your kid brother, the one that you were driving in the truck, and he pretended that he was... I can still see you in the truck. There's a lot of great stories, but Mark got a little bit older. Barry still looks very young, which is very nice. He still looks young. I don't know how he keeps that blonde hair. Now, Rena should have definitely brought many gray hairs by now. I remember marrying them in New Jersey. I don't know how to spell the name of the place. If a person davens well, it's hard to give that to your son in your genes, because somehow that's something that you personally worked on. If your father learns a lot, the children can learn by example, and they could also might want to learn. You cannot give it over in your genes. Kids have to work on it themselves to get there. If you're a big Baal Tzedakah, unless your children have their own money, they can't do it. Many things that parents do, even though the children should learn by example, but they have to learn, and they have to somehow try to emulate. Barry and Mark have a big chalik of their father. And I was trying to figure out why, and I think it might be because a mensch is your guts, it's your essence. Many other things we do are our facade, and they're important, and children might try to emulate by learning and watching, but it doesn't go in the DNA. I think perhaps if you are a true mensch, it is so inside of you, it goes to your pores, it's in you. I think perhaps in halacha or in Yiddishkeit, something that is the essence of who you are could go actually in the Yiddish DNA. And I think if Barry and Mark have something from their father, and I'm not doing it just to be nice to them because I really believe this, the same way I can tell you that Jordy was a real mensch, I think Mark and Barry have that quality that they are mentioned in everything that they do. Whether you're speaking about as husbands, as fathers, as business, as friends, as people in the community, they have that, and I think they got it from their father. Everything else fathers do, you're right, we try to give to our children, but the children have to work on it. I think they were blessed by having a father like Jordy, because I think it came naturally, simply by being a child, a son of Mr. Jordy Weiss. He should be a Meili Chosher, he should look down upon the family, he should look down upon his wife. Esther needs a refuah shlema. She needs to get home. Tonight, by the way, it is a Sefer Torah in honor. It's not a memory, it's an honor. I think honor is a much better word because memory means it's forgotten, it's past. And honor, first of all, means for those that are alive and those that passed. I think honor means that we're still doing something now. It's not just in the past, it's something right here. And I hope and pray that whatever Jordy gave Mark and Barry and their wives and the children and the grandchildren, great-grandchildren, you should continue. You should have many only simchas and smachot in his room. For many, many years, you should sit on this throne. One day Barry will also get a throne at the right time. But you should only have simchas, and mom should come home. And Halavai, you will show her this. And she's a remarkable woman. We want her home very soon. I still want to thank that half of the table down there that keeps on visiting and keeps on going, the Friedman family, as well as Pitsy and Estelle, all of you that are helping take care. I know that Steve went, and Steve is going to bring food every single time he goes. He learns his lesson. But we want her home. We want her home because as good and as wonderful as Barry and Mark are, I believe Mommy still needs to watch over, and I think we need to watch over her, and we would like her home. And Halavai, she should have nachas from her children, her grandchildren, great-grandchildren. And she should carry on the legacy that was together, her and her husband. And now she's carrying on, and Halavai, this will bring honor to Sefer Torah and the entire family for many years. Amen. Amen.
Anybody else want to say anything? My pleasure to... I don't want to lie. You do this now?
She loves it now.
בעל הבית הזה, בעלס הבית הזה, מרום ורבונו ורבוי סיין, נבורך אלוהינו שהוא אכל משלוי. אלוהינו שהוא אכל משלוי, תבואי חיינו. אדון סוף הגידו.
Barcelona,
בואי חתו אלינו ימי חלום, בואי פרי הגופן